Hello. Welcome. Another exciting adventure, CAV HQ Live. I'm your host, CAVBOSS. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I hope everybody is having a spectacular Wednesday night. Give a couple of minutes for everybody to get in. Hi, Omrin. How are you doing? You know, it's only been a week since I did a show, but it seems like I haven't been here for a month. I'm not sure why that feeling has come. Hello, Mr. JS Twitch. I hope you are doing well. I don't know if you got a chance to see, but I did not. I have not, Ilman. I'm sorry. I checked the forums, but I guess maybe I just missed that post. But I haven't been on Discord for a while, so I need to get caught back up. Past my bedtime already. Hi, Kruger. It was like 10 minutes ago. Yes. No, it was about an hour ago last time I looked at the forums. Seeing if there was anything important I needed to catch. I did reach the, I did read the battle report, so that was very interesting. For sure. All right, I'm trying not to yawn again. Don't yawn. Don't yawn. Must be strong. Must be strong. But I guess I don't know. What do you want me guys want me to talk about tonight? I brought a project I've been working on that we've talked about in the past. I'm going to show that in a little bit. But that's kind of where I'm at. So if you have any questions or anything you want me to discuss tonight, let me know. I will do my best. Hopefully there's a few of you getting ready for ReaperCon. I know they've started registration today. I think there's Chandler and a few people are planning on being there. So I'm going to miss it. Can infantry take cover behind grounded aircraft? Yes. Because basically a grounded aircraft is just considered like a vehicle, a level 1 vehicle. Oh, sorry. Here comes the yawn again. Been a long day, as always. Yeah, I was going to say it won't take him very long to destroy it. So, Chandler says he's going to be there in 5 minutes. He's going on Wednesday. Well, good for you, Chandler. I hope you enjoy yourself and have a good time. I am sorry that I am not there. Grounded crashed. Would the aircraft come off its base and go on the table then, or would it be sized based on the footprint of the flight base? I would say that it goes by the footprint of the flight base. If you're playing the standard core rules, if you're playing what you see is what you get, then I'd go by the aircraft. So, or you could go by the aircraft. So it's not something that's ever come up before. So. Just however you want to do it, just be consistent. At the point that it's crashed, then it's just considered rubble. So. Oh, I'm so sorry. I don't know where all those came from all of a sudden. It's weird that way. So if a transport heli moves and lands, then the infantry that are standing behind it have blocking cover against incoming rockets for the first volley at least. Yes and no, because, and this will get clarified as we go along, but because when we're talking about blocking cover and how that's going to be done, the vehicle, the transport would count as blocking cover as far as a line of sight. But because the model can actually be targeted by rockets, then that would catch the infantry in their in the AOE. So as we kind of clean that up and clarify that a little bit more, that vehicles and such are going to count towards line of sight, but won't count towards actually keeping them from being able to be hit, at least for indirect fire. There is going to be a difference between terrain and models. Yes. Yeah. I mean, that's one way to look at it. I mean, the basic difference is there'll be differences between if cover is terrain or if cover is another vehicle or a model. The models will still be able to block line of sight, so they do count towards direct fire, but as far as to stop you from getting hit by rockets, that opens a whole new can of worms there that we don't want to get into. James and I had this conversation a while back because that was one thing that he had brought up about using other models to block, and I believe that was the way that we've already discussed it because that was one of the things that me and James had talked about, that he had brought up, is people using each other's models to keep from getting hit, and that's not how that's going to work. Make a note just to make sure I've got that, but. Yeah, infantry have pop-up, um, but again, that would just count really towards direct fire because it does block line of sight. And we're still kind of tweaking those a little bit. So, how long until Tuseki 2s are back in stock? They are actually one of the first models that we are running, that we're doing in dual cast. We are working on the new molds for those, because the molds that were done for the sample ones that we had already had are not set up for production. So we are working on those, and those will be part of the release of aircraft. We are trying as hard as we can to start releasing new models this month, September. So we're working on those. One of the problems that we've already have run into is we used a lot of our initial molds and material for practicing. So we're trying to get more back in from the manufacturer, and it has run into this whole supply chain problems. So we are looking at doing something to get us over the hump with a couple of other companies that have the stuff already in the U.S. So, but the 5 resin aircraft from the Kickstarter is going to be the initial release for those 5 planes, which the Tuseki 2 is going to be one of those. The Tuseki 2s that we've been selling, those were the ones that the manufacturer ran for us that we used as giveaways and stuff like that, and we went through those and ran out. But we have to have production molds, because the way that they made the molds there, it's not practical for us to run them on that. All right. So one of the projects that we've talked about in the past is our terrain. Last week we went over a bunch of some of the STL files that we've been playing with. Forget aircraft. We need Spathas and Cossacks. Those are going to be in the next batches, James. So hang in there. So we're getting closer to those as far as what we're doing with the MDF stuff. So this was, and this is a prototype. So we need to, there'll be some changes in this, but this is one of our first models that I wanted to show off as far as one of the buildings. This thing that's on top won't be on the final one. That didn't kind of turn out as good as I'd hoped it, so it kind of looks like there's a McDonald's on top of the building. But so this is kind of a combination. It's MDF, it's mat board. I like that top. We've got a different top that's on there, but it just didn't turn out the way that I thought it would turn out. So, but I'm pretty happy with it. I think that it gives us kind of a modern sci-fi feel to it. It can be an apartment building, it could be an office building, all kinds of things. One of the things that I'm experimenting with is one of the problems I have with a lot of the building kits that are out there is they come and they're just a plain building. They just you set them on the board, and you know, if you're using a city map or something, it's not as bad, but we're working on, of course, it may not show as well here with all the lights. Ooh. But actually, pieces for these to sit on that either have sidewalks or some other things that are already inscribed on there. This one's got some flower beds that can go up here if you want to. And that way you can use it either way. But I think that way when you set these up on, maybe if you're using a cement footer with planters and such. So I'm playing with it still. I think it's going to work out. The main thing I'm worried about is warping. If we get too big, you can get into some warpage. But I think that this will, that way if you're playing on a green or mat or something like that, you'll be able to put them on their footings, and that way they don't look like they're just randomly popping up out of the ground. So anyway, this is a level 6 building, by the way. So let me back it up a little bit here, and you can see how it kind of scales with the miniature. If I can get him on here. So pretty happy with it. I'm going to actually, I made the changes that I needed to make to it earlier this evening, and I was hoping to have one cut out that I could work on during the show a little bit and put together, but I'll be, are those front overhangs large enough for an infantry base to stand in? No, not really. They're going to be a little wider, but to try to scale that up so that that you could have a base. I'll go all the way in there. It'd make a lot bigger than it needs to be, but you'll be able to set them on there if you want to state that that's where they're at. So. Unfortunately, when you put them on the big bases to take into account that, it'll go. So, and I'm hoping that we can come up with some generic ones of these, that you can use. So we may have some bigger ones or something with different things on it as well. The other thing that I'm playing with is I want, maybe there might be a few accessories. I was meaning at like level 4 in the air. Oh, if you mean like up here on this ledge here. No, yeah, no, there's not enough room for a base to sit up there. It'd have to probably be double the size of it. Sorry. Now, if you had them all in a line, you could set them up there. But if they're in a hex base, they're going to be kind of hard to set there. Best thing here is just set them on the top and put a D6 next to them to tell you what floor they're on. But so I'm hoping to have maybe a few little greeblies to go with this. If you wanted to put like I don't know, like a billboard on top or something like that. So if we've got some more room on the deal, we'll play with it. But anyway, that's where we're at. But I'll get one put together and get it painted. And then we'll have some more to show as we go along. So hopefully we'll start releasing those too this month. Probably release them as they become available, as opposed to like holding on to them and do 10 of them at a time. It's just that way I can get them out there and get them out of the way. I know that there's a couple of other kits that I've got pretty close to being done. So, and these are more generic. Down the road, we'll probably do some that are more faction orientated, but these are more just generic. Throw them in a fight for a battle. But I think that you'll have the one kit, and like I said, there'll be some greeblies in there that you can change a few things up if you want to make a building a little different. So. So that's my big reveal, but I'll get the final one cut up and put together tomorrow. Take a couple of pictures of it, and then and get one painted up. I think one of the things too that I'm planning on doing is, since the windows are raised with the mat board, I probably will, and this will just be as a PDF that you can download, that will go in and make the glass, the windows behind the, if you want to print them out like on an inkjet and glue them on and then put the mat over the top of them, that would save you from having to paint windows. That's not anything that we can include with the kit, but that'd be something that you could download and print out on an inkjet, and then glue the mat over the top of it. Save you from having to make windows. That way we could put a little reflection in them or something too. I'll probably do two versions. One that's just a single color, a light blue or something like that, and then maybe do one with clouds or something. Be more reflective. Or if you really wanted to get fancy, you could go in and find just some stock art showing people in their apartments or something like that. glue those. Maybe if I find one, I'll put those on there. I know years ago I built a big Coliseum and had the crowd, it was the Steiner Arena or whatever for Battletech. And it had rows where the people were inside watching the deal. And I printed them up on like acetate, not acetate, but a clear plastic kind of a deal. And then they were backlit. So it looked like all the people were inside their boxes watching the match. So. And I thought about, cutting the windows out, so that your spaces, so if you wanted to put something in from the back, or light it up. But I decided not to do that because I hate buildings that if you're not into that, and you build the building and it's got all the holes in it and it just looks funny. So I figured that this is and I think more people are more interested in just putting the kit together and painting it up rather than try to worry about backlighting them or anything like that. So. If that's something that you really want to get into down the road, you can contact me and we can see if we can't do one for you with the windows cut out. All right, what else? What else would you like me to discuss tonight on this fine Wednesday evening? I think we had a couple of rules questions come up on the Facebook stuff, but I think we got those covered for everybody. I remember some in-scale model train sets from Japan had inserts for some skyscrapers. Yeah, and you can, a lot of the plastic stuff like that comes with clear windows that snap in from the back, but you can still see through them. So if you don't, if you don't put something behind them or put light in them or something like that, it's the same thing. It's obviously you can't push your finger through it, but you can see through the plastic. Now, if they're like pre-printed with, people or something on them, that would be kind of cool. And I don't know, I guess maybe it might be the way to do it is to cut the windows out and then, you know, you can print out, I don't know. I think I like it with leaving it solid. I think that, for most people, makes for a better model for them. Maybe I'll do two different ones. So we can have kit A and kit B. I like solid. Yeah, I do too. I think that if you leave them open and then you don't take the time to fill them in, it just looks funny. It was a sheet that was printed to look like empty. Oh, yeah, no, and that'd be cool. That's what I was talking about. It might be that I could, when I come up with the windows, maybe I can find some pieces that would make for some good inserts. I would think that a building like that would have solid floor to ceilings, no window slits. Well, I guess, they would have windows. I mean, they're going to have, and we're talking about. Oh, I did. You want me to do it again? Were you not paying attention when I did that earlier? Oh, yeah, there you go. It's a level 6 building. So, I mean, as far as height and stuff, it's the scale. The problem that you have, obviously, is scaling these up for what that would be. You know, so this is, you know, in scale, 1 inch equals 15 feet. So, I had a tape measure here. So this building is 6 inches. So that would be, 90 feet by 4 inches, which would be 60 feet. So 60 foot by 90 foot. I would imagine that most buildings like this is probably bigger than that. Right, and that's the reason I like having the windows in there. If you just want to do them as black, you can. But because of the way that the mat sits over the tops, you'll be able to actually print something out and glue it if you wanted to on there, and then use the mat on the top of it to block it in. But that's I would think so. I would think that would be doable. Obviously, most of these type of buildings are capable of a helicopter or something landing on them. So. I would say this building probably falls in the commercial realm. And that's one of the little greeblies I thought about adding to that, since this little penthouse or whatever on the top is going to go off there. It'd be very easy for you to, if you wanted to set a helicopter pad on there. So there'll be one in there that you can add if you want to. I figure there'll be like, there's a like a glass top that could go over it if you wanted to, or put a helipad up there. probably some air conditioning units, things like that we can put on there. Now, something that I really, really wanted to try, and I'll put some more information up about it, is, one of the, if you've done any of these before, any of the line work that you see is cut in pretty deep. I mean, it's probably at least half the thickness of the material. So, if you run your finger over them or whatever, you can feel them, and then when you primer them or put your first coat of paint on there, the lines still show up, so that you come in there. But so then you have to figure out how you're going to go back in and do those or whatever. One of the things that I caught the other day, and this actually was, the guy was working on a fighter jet, and it initially made me think about doing it for the Badger, as far as getting the weathering look or whatever like that. And you can buy expensive weathering powders or whatnot that are out there, but a lot of the old timers and stuff will tell you, just go buy cheap makeup at Walmart or whatever, that's for the skin and stuff, whatever. You can get it in all different colors and stuff like that. But what this person had done that I'd watched a steal on is, of course, he had the plane, and the plane's got all the scribed panels and stuff like you have on the Badger or like you'd have on here. And he painted his base colors on there, and then went back in with a makeup brush and these powders, and used those to weather the building. And that powder hung into the cracks, the line work really, really well. And it made for a really, really cool effect. And I like I said, I've seen it over the years with chalk and all that on military models and stuff to do weathering. But I really never thought about doing it on these MDF kits. But I think that it would work. And after you're done with everything like that, you can just give it a good spray of dull coat or whatever that seals it all in. So I'm looking forward to try that out to see how it goes. If that would make an easier way to fill those lines back up with something dark, to break it up, I think might be pretty cool. Because I could see you going in and painting a base color, dry brushing it a little bit, and then coming back with these powders and weathering it a little bit. And you can use black for smudge and soot and everything like that, or you could use a little brown red for rust, and maybe a little green for moss, things like that. But it'll be an interesting project. But my hope is by the time, I want to just keep building into this with lots of kits. Here at the beginning, we're going to cover the basics. One of the kits that I'm working on is I built, if you remember when I built the yes. Well, and we've already got a bunch of them already ready to go. We just haven't been able to put them on mold yet. I mean, literally, and I know I've shown some of this to some of you, but we probably have 100 models that are done, that are ready. We've just got to get masters and put them to mold. So once we're fully up to speed with the dual cast and producing those and everything like that, there'll be a lot of cool stuff coming out. And we'll be producing, things that go along with these model kits, these MDF kits. I've got some ideas for some things that we can do, little greeblies and stuff like that we can produce in dual cast that you'd be able to glue onto them and get some different looks that you can't get with traditional MDF kits. Especially if we need a round piece or round corners or something like that, we can build the kit and have, the little dual cast round parts that you can put in to fill in or something like that. I'm just kind of it's just a lot of, as always, there's just so much stuff going on. There's just nobody around to get it all done at once. I'm so involved in all of the things right now. I had a person lined up to come in as a mold maker, and they have decided that now with COVID and everything like that they're not willing to do that yet. So radar dishes there are, and you can actually do some really, really cool radar dishes with MDF, and especially with us using the mat board as well. To me, the MDF is much more of the structure of that, and then using the mat board to detail and things like that, because it's thinner, it's easier to put on there and be a lot more detailed with it. So I think that those will be some cool things that we'll do. I know we're looking at, and we've got lots of stuff that we're planning. We've got craters. Those will be a great thing to run in dual cast. There's a lot of things that we want to add to the terrain from Kickstarter 3. There was a lot of stuff that we had come up with that we didn't include with the Kickstarter for extra stuff, and so it'll be cool to produce and come back and add some other things to, with new type of bunkers, maybe some new turrets. So lots of stuff like that. I'm hoping that the world will at some point actually get back to being normal. So this here yesterday, I think Monday or yesterday, they opened up the hotel blocks for Adepticon up in Chicago, and which immediately sold out. I think like in 5 minutes, there were literally people that was like, I was putting my credit card number in and was there first off and didn't get a room. But so the powers that be at Adepticon came out and made a couple of posts about it and talked and stuff like that. But if you kind of read between the writing and things that they were saying or whatever, I don't think they're 100% sure they're going to run Adepticon next year yet. They have an out that if they decide they don't want to do it, then they're kind of in that kind of a pattern. I know that Gen Con is getting ready to start or did start or something. I don't know exactly how they're doing or whatever. And that's going to be a big bellwether. I mean, ReaperCon is going to be a bellwether for this kind of stuff. I don't know what their final count's going to be, but the people that are going to go ahead with the shows, if those kind of end up being kind of super spreader events, where a lot of people get sick and can be traced back to the fact that they were at that show, or God forbid somebody dies, I think you're back to square one with the shows. That I couldn't even imagine um, what would go on if you had a show and somebody caught COVID while they were at the show and then passed away. Um, in the world that we live in today, they would be after you in a heartbeat. I mean, here's a classic example of something the other day is back in the day when Nirvana did their first album, of course, there's a picture of a naked baby in the pool reaching for $1 on a hook or something like that. Well, the guy that was the baby, that's like 35 years old now, or 37 or something like that, is going back and suing them, the estate and Nirvana and everything like that, saying that it was child pornography and all kinds of stuff. And it's just crazy what people get away with to sue for and things like that. It's just nuts. So I'm still kind of sitting here trying to decide how we can even plan for shows, that for next year again. It's, trying to, because right now, we need to have our schedule wrapped up and ready planned by November for us to start hitting shows in March. And it takes a lot of time and a lot of effort, and it's not like we can just turn it on and turn it off. If we're going to shows next year starting in March, there's a lot of time and effort have to be spent in November and December and everything like that to get everything ready, to be ready to go, so that we're not down to the last minute. And we put all that time and effort and everything in there, and then all the shows start canceling again. It's just wasted. And I really didn't think that we would be in this position this late in the year again. But I know that my kids had 2 or 3 concerts that they had tickets that they were planning with. And those have all been postponed again. Well, and I'm glad too, but now comes the 2-week wait. So how many people got sick while they were there or didn't? That's all going to be a big deal. And then, like I said, God forbid somebody dies. So you're not going to be able to know. And I don't know what the final count for NashCon could be. If you're talking about a 500 person event, chances are it's not nearly going to be as bad. But, you get a Gen Con with 30 or 40,000 people. I mean, there is going to be people catching COVID. Yeah. So, the smaller shows, it may, the odds of it go way down and stuff like that. Obviously, the chances of somebody getting sick or whatever, but, you don't know what percentage is vaccinated and so forth and so on. But, yeah, like I said, now it's a 2-week wait period. See what happens. I think Gen Con's going to be the big sit back and see how it goes. And there's the other side of that. I don't want to spend money and time at a show that I'm miserable at. I mean, if I'm out and around a big crowd of people or something like that, I don't have a problem with wearing a mask. I'm not an anti-vaxxer or anti-mask person or anything like that. I think that it's, I'm not trying to get political here, but I think it's some of the arguments that's been used for that are kind of silly for people. I don't think that asking people to get a vaccine or wearing a mask is infringing on their rights. I mean, no more so than having people wear seat belts or helmets on their motorcycle and whatnot. I think we're a long way from that becoming, the rise of the Nazi Empire or something. But, you know, I don't know that I want to go to a show that I spend that kind of money and effort and time at, that I have to respect those conditions for 4 days, nonstop. That's not my idea of fun. And it's not just show. I mean, it would be anything. I mean, we're not going to any concerts or anything like that. I mean, obviously, it's not a big deal to go to a restaurant and spend an hour that way. If we go, we've obviously cut back on all that, but yeah, if I can't go to a show for 4 days and do like I normally do at a show, I don't want to go. So it's a big reason why I'm not at ReaperCon this weekend. I held out to even after we decided we weren't going to attend as a vendor, to just go and be at the show, and hopefully things were going to be a little further ahead by the time that they got here. And you know, here at the 1st of August, we had to stop and think about it. And I'm like, you know, it's going to cost me X number of dollars for the room and all this stuff and food and everything like that. And we're going to go down there and we're going to be miserable. You know, it'd be nice to see some friends and stuff like that, but I don't want to sit at a game table where we're 10 feet apart and everybody, you know, one person gets to walk up to the table at a time and we're talking through mask and blah, 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 blah. That's just nothing to do with it. Obviously me and my wife have been vaccinated. I don't have nearly the problem with going to the restaurants, because the restaurants, at least around here, are still kind of enforcing the separation, as far as, you know, the tables are far enough apart. Most of the staff is wearing masks and whatnot and stuff like that. It doesn't hurt, I don't think, to go out every once in a while. Obviously, you up your chances if you're doing it 3 times a day, every day. But if we go out once or twice, and it depends to the restaurant that you go to, I'm not worried about that. Not here. The popular restaurants are packed. Yeah, well, and that's something you have to take into account. If they've got everybody all piled up and stuff like that, it's not worth going. I know that me and Sue Ellen last week, was it last week, that we went over to Wichita and ate at Huhat, the Mongolian grill or whatever like that. And except they had everybody separated out. There was, you know, as you waited in line, there was room between everybody. Everybody was wearing masks as far as the servers and stuff. And we wore our mask until we got to the table and sat down at the table. There was plenty of room between us and everybody like that. So, you know, it was fine. And that's a pretty popular restaurant over in Wichita. So now, and obviously, we don't try to go anywhere on a Friday or Saturday night. You know, this was like a Wednesday or a Thursday at 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, a little out over past the main dinner times or whatever. But so no, and I know in Wichita that they are. They have no room in the hospitals for people that are sick over there, that have got, and unfortunately it's mostly unvaccinated people. There was actually a big story that made national news about a gentleman that up in another town here in Kansas had a common operation. I don't know exactly what it was. And something happened that his heart stopped while they were doing it. And so there was a chance of brain damage and whatnot. And they needed to get him into an ICU, you know, with neurological ICU. And the hospital over in Wichita that has that or whatever didn't have room for him, didn't have a spot for him, because they had switched a lot of their neurological ICU to handle COVID people. by the time that they were able to get it opened and get him over there, unfortunately he had passed away. So, I mean, we don't know, how bad the damage was. That it may not have mattered one way or the other that he was there or not. But, by the same token, we don't know the other way either. So that's a mess. It just blows my mind that I have a little bit more sympathy for people early on at the very beginning. I mean, I can understand. I know that when I was at basic training, we went down a line and they inoculated us with all kinds of stuff. I have no idea what, to this day, what they gave us shots for. They used air injectors, and some people, we got so many of them, some people, our blood is just going down their arm from all the shots. But, and things that you heard from stuff that they gave them over for when they went over to Iraq and stuff like that. And I get it. All of a sudden we've got a vaccine in 6 months and how sure are we, and stuff like that. But I think after 100 million people have got it, and I really don't at this point understand why somebody won't go get a vaccine. And my mother, I count my mother was that way. My mother was, I am not going to go get a vaccine. And are like, Mom, you need to go get a vaccine. You're in the group especially that's could have problems with this. And she fought and she fought and she fought. And like I said, I can understand, early on and stuff like that. But after me and my wife and all our kids and everybody had our vaccine, and I think out of all of us, I was the only one that had, I think I got a little, on the second shot, I got the Moderna. And on the second shot, I think I got a little achy after about an hour and a half after taking the shot, maybe running a little bit of fever. I took some Tylenol. 30 minutes later, I was good to go. But at that point, it was just, Mom, go get the vaccine. Finally went and got the vaccine. I think she got the Pfizer, so she got the double one there, and never had a problem, never had any kind of a reaction to it or whatever. And now I'm not nearly as worried about her from the standpoint of something happening. I mean, they came out with a report today that people that's had the vaccine, even against the Delta, it's got like a 99% rate for serious hospitalizations and death. They're still having breakthrough people that's got it, but it's more like just getting the normal flu. So, all right, I'll get off of that. Hopefully, I hope I haven't made anybody mad or stepped in anybody's crazy politics or anything like that. That's not my position. I am every man deserves to feel and do the way that he wants to do. If I had my way with a lot of the way things would be done, as far as people's rights and choices and stuff like that, it would be ugly. So, literally just got my dad's second shot today. Well, good. That's good. I'm glad to hear that. I mean, because I'm having my, I know that I talked about it a couple of weeks ago. So Monday was my court appearance for my blowing grass into the street. And I'll unless you guys have some questions that come up, I would go off because I think this was kind of funny. So a month ago, I got in the mail a ticket, a summons from our local code enforcer for the city about blowing grass into the street. Now, and it wasn't just here's your fine or don't do it or whatever. It's you have to appear in court on August 30th at 1 p.m. So I and to give you a little backstory here, the area that where the shop is and stuff like that, I have owned this area for over 20 years, and we have mowed it the same that we've always mowed it and done and whatnot. And the two of the streets that where the grass got blown into are very, very busy streets. So to the point that I have to mow against traffic, which of course causes the grass to blow out into the street to a degree, so that I don't get hit. These trucks and stuff come by with these big mirrors and everything like that. You got to watch them coming, or you're going to get tagged at some point. Same thing is if you do blow grass out in the street, you can't go sweep it up. If you do, you're going to get run over. So in my previous incarnation with another business I had, we did both the police department and the fire department was out here quite a bit doing stuff that we donated and allowed them to do out here. So I've always had a pretty good relationship with the city and everything like that. Now this code inspector lady is kind of new, I think, to the deal. So I didn't know her. I didn't recognize the name. So we go through all this, and of course, I wasn't mad when I went Monday, but I was disappointed. I felt that if we're ready to start enforcing, and I know that. I know you're not supposed to blow grass out into the street, that it can get washed into the drainage, which makes it worse. It's, I understand a motorcycle or something could slip on it. I live in Kansas. An average day here's 30-mile-an-hour winds. Grass doesn't stay around here on the street very long. It's blown, it's gone. So, I felt like that, okay, after 20 plus years, we're going to start enforcing this. Maybe you ought to just come by and said, hey, John, don't blow grass out on the street anymore, and we'll figure something else out. Okay. So I go to court on Monday, and I'm there for about an hour and a half before I get to go before the judge. So we go through the whole rigmarole about the stuff, and how do you want to plead? Or I did it. I said I blew the grass out into the street. I said, we always have. And and the code enforcer lady is there because they take pictures. By the way, they're standing there with a handful of pictures ready to show the judge. Okay, if he wants to argue here, I got pictures. So, I'm like, you don't need them. I said, I did it. We've been doing it that way for 20 years. I said, I just felt like that if this was something that needed to be addressed, that you could have come by and said, hey, don't blow grass out on the street anymore. So, so we talk a little bit, and we go back and forth, and I'm 90% respectful. I got a little snorty a couple of times, but so they decide to dismiss the charges. All right, I'm good with that. That's we'll work from going forward. Well, they dismissed the charges, but I still have to pay court costs. So they hit me with $90 court costs charge. And I had noticed as I went through all the earlier cases before, obviously being Walker, I'm at the end of the line almost. Ziegler is about the only person that anybody with the last name Ziegler tends to, the only people that go after me. So, but that's pretty much how they did everybody is, crap here. Sorry. So they dismissed the cases, but had kept charging everybody court costs. And I mean, in my mind, if you dismiss the case, I shouldn't have to pay court costs. Especially, I'm there for 10 minutes. That's an expensive $90 for 10 minutes. I said, okay, that's fine. But one of the things that I brought up is the fact that, I don't know, I guess it's been longer than that, probably 9 years ago, the land that we are in is actually in the county, and we are surrounded by the city. It's kind of a weird deal. But one of the streets, they had never come back and redid, even though as busy as it was, because half the street belongs to the county, which is, or in the county, which was our property, and then half of it was city on the other side of it. So the county didn't want to pay to do the road because they didn't own the other side, and the city didn't want to do it because of the deal. And God forbid we work together and, hey, let's each pay half of it. So the city came in and decided, well, we're going to do it. Well, and we're going to annex the strip along the deal and just do it and go from there. Well, the taxes that we were going to have to pay for that street was huge. I think my part of it was like $200,000. I mean, it was a huge amount of money. It's that you pay with your property taxes, then they spread it out over 30 years or something like that. And of course, we argued that, this is a feeder road. This is a major road. This isn't like a neighborhood road that 10 people live on or whatever. This is a major thoroughfare that the college people, stadium, everybody uses. And we didn't really think that we should have to pay that. So we went back and forth, back and forth. Well, what we ended up doing is we deeded a 10-foot strip along the new road to the city. So now the city actually owns the land that adjoins the road. And as a result of that, we didn't have to pay taxes for the road because the city now owns both sides of it. And of course, they're not going to charge themselves taxes. Imagine that. So it's kind of a win-win. Nothing was going to happen with that land. I mean, it's already got easements on it from utilities and stuff. So no big deal. And ever since we've done that, whether it's me or somebody, we always mow that. I mean, it's just a courtesy to the city, and it's good for our deal. I told that while they're there in front of the judge, I'm like, just FYI, going forward, the city owns the 10-foot strip adjoining those two roads, and we have always mowed that as a courtesy to the city. But if it's going to be a problem as we mow that grass is going to get blown out into the street from time to time, and you guys are going to issue me a ticket, the city can mow that from now on. So the judge is like, looks over at her and she's like, "Are you aware of this?" And she's like, the enforcer lady, she's like, "No, the city doesn't own that land." And I said, "Yeah, it does." I said, "You can pull up the maps on the county, and it shows that land's owned by the city." I said, "I was in on the deal. I know exactly how all that was deeded." I said, "You guys own that strip of land that's adjoining the deal." So I said, if you want to add that to the city's list of stuff that they need to start mowing regularly, that's good for you guys. And the other property owners that are along the street are kind of in on this now as well. And they're like, nobody's going to mow that 10-foot strip if we're going to take a chance of getting a ticket. So I come back Monday afternoon and got out my where the lines are and mowed our stuff back and left that strip. And it may be that going forward that CAV HQ is surrounded by a 10-foot wall of grass. But I am not going to mow that grass. I know that's probably being petty, but if they're going to play that way, I'm not going to mow that grass. So anyway, so hopefully you found that story as amusing as I did. I'm sure you had to have been there to truly enjoy it. My wife and my mother were pretty sure that I was going to go to jail by the time the court case was over. I get out here to the shop and I get busy doing things, and they start texting me like 2 hours later. Are you in jail? Well, and that was brought up. That's what my wife said. Oh, you'll get a ticket or not. But I'm not, because that's not my property. I don't own that 10-foot strip of land. I have both the from when it was surveyed. I've got the survey maps that I have here and pulled it up on the county. And you can go into the county and look in our area and see the 10-foot strip that goes around our properties. So, yeah, I can do all things through spite, which I am that way. It's horrible to be that way. My wife, my mother, my family, my kids. Oh, Dad, don't be that way. So since you got me talking, we're having a good time. We're all talking here. So here's two examples of how Dad looks at these things and gets mad. So years ago, while I'm going to school, there is I don't know if they're still around anymore, but there was a chain of restaurants called Bennigan's. And Bennigan's were like Chili's or Applebee's or something like that. It's and they had a really, really good chicken fried steak. And I am a connoisseur of chicken fried steak. Or for you northern people, country fried steak. But I'm still in school, so this is where I'm down in Dallas at the time, and that I was going down there at that time to that school. So we go into Bennigan's, where I order chicken fried steak. Okay, no problem. Now, and at the time, even at that point, they were expensive for a cost. I mean, it was a higher end chicken fried steak, so it cost more than going and getting it at Grandy's or something like that. So anyway, so I'm sitting there. We're all talking, having a good time, order our appetizers and everything, order our food. So they come in, they set my plate down in front of me, and it is two of those round breaded patties like you can get at the grocery store. That's they're like 99 cents or something like that. I don't know if they're even real meat, that they get for you to cook for the kids or something like that, with gravy over the top of it. So I sit this down on the deal, and I'm like, this is not what I ordered. Well, you ordered chicken fried steak. Yes, I did. Well, that's our chicken fried steak. Unfortunately, we ran out of our normal chicken fried steak, so this is what we're using until we get that back in stock. And I'm like, okay, well, that's fine and dandy, but why didn't you tell me that when I ordered it? And B, I'm not paying what you're charging for two chicken patties, and I can get it, two breaded chicken patties I can get at the grocery store for 99 cents. And so I don't eat them. I send them back. I said, I don't want it. Well, can I get you something else? I said, no. I said, I had my appetizers. I'll be good. I'll go to Jack in the Box later and get me a hamburger or something. So anyway, so we finish up and everything. Like, well, they bring our ticket, and lo and behold, there is the charge for my chicken fried steak on there. Excuse me, ma'am. I'm not paying for this chicken fried steak. I said, A, I didn't. That's not what I ordered, and B, I sent it back. So you need to take that off there. Well, let me go get the manager. So the manager comes over, and I'm cool about it. I mean, I'm ticked, but I'm not belligerent or anything like that. And he goes, I understand there's a problem. Yeah, there's a problem. So I explain. He's like that. Well, sir, you ordered that, and that's what we're serving. You need to pay for this. I said, no, I'm not paying for it. I'm a school guy, getting by. And, most nights it's getting changed to eat macaroni and cheese. All right. So this was a deal. So we go back and forth and back and forth. And he threatens to call the police. And so, long story short, I'm like, all right, that's fine. I will pay for this chicken fried steak. But I'm here to tell you right now that me, anybody that I know, and certainly anybody in my family, will never eat at a Bennigan's ever again. And so I went for years making a point that nobody that I knew or family would go and eat at Bennigan's. And Bennigan's went out of business. So I'm hoping that I had something to do with that. So, all right. You guys are getting awfully quiet. I don't know if that's like you're humoring me or whatever. So, but I'll give you one more. This is a little shorter one. So we're remodeling a house as well. I was still living down in Tulsa. And we're working on our house and stuff like that. So I go to a Lowe's and I purchase, about $3,000 worth of stuff for the house. So I've got it all piled up on the deal. I've got my truck and my trailer, and it's 102 degrees out. It's just cooking and everything like that. So the lady is, we're checking out. I'll make sure somebody comes out and helps you get loaded. That's fine. That'd be appreciated. So I get out there and I wait a few minutes. Nobody shows up. So I start, and I'm already putting stuff on the trailer and everything. And I look over. Well, the two guys that they have that are doing this or whatever, they're sitting on the back of a car, drinking something from Sonic, talking to some little girl, talking her up. And one of them, and they stare at me. They see me out there in the loading area, loading all this stuff, and they're just going on and on and on and on. So, 15 minutes later, 20 minutes, I don't know, hell, longer than that. I got everything finally loaded, and I'm so freaking mad I can't see straight. And so I walk back in there, and I tell that girl, checkout counter, I said, did you ever tell anybody, hey, about coming out and helping us load that? She said, yeah, I told so-and-so and whatever. I said, so-and-so and all of them out there. I said, hey, I didn't see nobody else come out. I said, the two guys that you got out there that are supposed to be helping people load up stuff, I said, they're sitting on the back of a car drinking cherry limeade, talking up some big boob girl. Oh, well, let me get the manager. Okay. So get the manager over there. And the register girl's on my side. She's like, this what, he just bought all this stuff and all like that, and the manager just was kind of like, hey, I don't give a shit. I mean, that's not what he said, but that's how it came out across or whatever like that. And so he got the Walker speech. I'm here to tell you right now that as far as I'm concerned, that nobody that I know will ever our shadow will never grace the door here at a Lowe's ever again. So I went for years like that, doing that. So I finally had to make a little of an exception, because the styrofoam that I use to make terrain, you cannot get in the 3/4 inch anymore over at Home Depot carries the pink stuff. Lowe's carries the blue stuff, Pink Panther or whatever. And Home Depot, the Pink Panther guys, they stopped making 3/4 inch styrofoam. So the only place I could get 3/4 inch styrofoam is naturally Lowe's. But that's the only thing that I ever get at Lowe's is 3/4 inch styrofoam. So anyway, I need to check. We got a Menards now. Maybe Menards has it, and I don't have to go over there ever again. All right, so there is a little bit of a view into the mind of John Walker, a.k.a. CAVBOSS. So I hope you've enjoyed my little stories. I feel your mother-in-law's pain and agony. Hopefully that she'll get over it. That at some point that the restraining order will be dropped. So anyway. Well, guys, thanks for coming in tonight. We did get a little stuff talked about CAV. The first 30 minutes. Then off on a tangent I go. Again, as always, it's from the arbitration results. Oh, there's a whole nother series of stories there I could go for that stuff. I've been in arbitration a few times. Anyway, so as always, I appreciate your guys' support. Hang in there. We're trying to get our stuff, getting our act together. Hopefully, I did buy lottery tickets today. If we hit those tonight, we can get a whole new crew in here and actually get something done for a change. But anyway, everybody be safe. If I made you mad tonight, it was something that I said, I am sorry. I'm just talking and BSing with you. I believe that you should be able to choose and do whatever you want, but it is what it is. Other than that, I'm pretty sure that Chris is going to be streaming again on Saturday. I don't think that James will be streaming on Monday, as it is a holiday, and I believe that he has got weekend plans. So I don't know if he mentioned that at all during his show. We haven't really talked since Monday, so I don't know if that's the deal, but I would say on vacation. There you go. There's the official deal. There will not be a Monday stream from James. For some reason, he allows real life to get in the way of the world of CAV. We'll let it go this time. So I hope you enjoy yourself, and I hope everybody has a good weekend, whether you're going somewhere, whether you're cooking out, whether you're swimming in the lake. Hopefully you won't get some deadly brain amoeba that you got that going for you. Disc golf. Yay. Lies. He's looking for Spathis. Well, I kind of know where he's going for vacation, so he may come looking for him. I'm not sure. All right. Guys, take care. Be safe, and I will talk to you later. And I'll make sure to go look at the ADON letters, numbers. Thank you. Good night.